Hello, everybody. How are you? Welcome to Spiritual Saturday. So I'm really excited to have you with me here today as we are getting ready for some heavy energetic shifting, which we'll talk about today. And again, this is a special edition of Spiritual Saturday. I generally do this the first Saturday of every month, and this is reserved for members of my Higher Ground membership. I'll tell you about that in a few minutes. Or people usually can purchase this on an individual basis. What I love to do once a year is offer this as a free session to get everybody ready for the next year and kind of get everybody geared up for what's coming. We have so many things going on right now. So this is a bit of a special edition, so I'm really excited that you chose to be here today. This will also be recorded. So I will record this and send it out later. I know a lot of people have emailed me and said, oh, I can't get on it live, which of course happens. So we're going to record this, put it out. I'll also put it on my YouTube channel. So please feel free to share this with people that you feel will be helped. Obviously, we're out here. We want to help people expand, especially as we go through these times of great change. So that's just a little kind of warm up. I'll tell you about what we're going to do in a minute. But before we get started, because I know when we do this and I do this session, we get a lot of new people who maybe don't know who I am. I actually saw the first person who joined our session this morning was from Indonesia. I'm coming to you live from Southern California, but I'm originally from New York. I've been out here for 10 years with my family, and we decided to move out here. My son, our son wanted to go to college out here, so we decided to try it out and really loved it. So we've been out here since 2011, so it's been a great time. But again, I grew up originally from New York. I've been doing this work as far as energy work for over 30 years at, of course, different levels. So I work with showing people how to identify and clear negative energy. And I also show people how to clear the chakra system, the energy system that we all have in our bodies. So that is my area of expertise. But in addition to that, because I started in the business world, I am a business consultant as well. So I bring these principles and energy principles into the business world, and I blend them with, of course, business strategies and things that, of course, we need to use when we are in the world of business. So I bring those things together. I've also written several books and, of course, have a lot of resources out there for everyone to use to help you elevate yourself. I have my YouTube channel, and I have a number of other things on my website. I also send out a free weekly email called Wednesday Wisdom, and just kind of giving an update of what's going on. So just kind of give you a little picture of who I am and the work that I've been doing for a long time. I'm very, very excited, like I said, to be here with all of you today and dedicated to help you as we're ready to move forward to another dimension here, to another level, really, as we go forward. So as I said earlier, we do this on the first Saturday of the month. The sessions are recorded. If you'll notice, if you are online, there is a Q&A, and there's also a chat. So if you have a question, you can put it in the Q&A box on the right-hand side. You don't have to put your last name. I'm not going to mention your last name. And I will answer those questions at the end. You can put those questions in at any point during today's session. You notice there's also a chat. If you want to chat, there's a little chat box there. You can put a little something in the chat if you have a question there. Or at the end of the call, if you want to speak to me directly, you can hit *2. And that will tell me that you want to ask a question, that your hand is raised, and I'll unmute you, and we will have that conversation. So if that's something you want to do at the end of the session. So as I said, this is a session that I generally use for my Higher Ground members. If you want to check that out, we have a 15-day free trial. It's at highergroundnow.com. If you're online, you can actually click this slide, and it'll take you right there. And you can try it out for 15 days. You also get over $1,500 in bonus programs, and you'll see all the other information. We do this call once a month. I also send out a weekly audio and just keeping up to date on what's going on. And then, again, additional trainings and all different things that I'm always putting into the membership to help you go forward. This is a time that we really need guidance and support. A lot of people will say to me, I don't want to hire a coach, or I don't want to spend that. It could be expensive, which I certainly understand, but we do need support as we go through this process. So this is a great way to get that at a minimal amount, and also understand that it's month to month. You have no long-term commitment. So I encourage you to check that out when we're done here today. So what I like to do, and we're going to talk about 2022, but we have a lot of stuff to discuss today. But what I like to do always when I start is kind of talk about what's going on right now energetically and where we are. So we are in the middle. Well, today was actually very exciting because overnight we had the solar eclipse that just happened, which was December 4th, depending on where you are in the world, but basically it happened overnight. And we had two eclipses that we just ended. We had the lunar eclipse, of course, on the 19th of November. And now we have the solar eclipse, which is today. Like I said, overnight and today. So generally when we have eclipses, they're always going to be close together. And a solar eclipse will always come with a new moon. So we have a new moon, solar eclipse. They always work together. And the new moon is always kind of a page turner. We have one every month. It's kind of the way we turn the page into the next year, into the next month as we go forward. So we have that new moon today. And then the solar eclipse, of course, adds an additional element to that. So a solar eclipse is generally going to be tied to external shifting. So meaning the lunar eclipse is more of the inner work or the internal vibrational shift. The solar eclipse is usually going to be tied to more things that you'll see in the physical world. So pay very close attention now the rest of this month as far as what happens going forward, because the solar eclipse is about external shifts, changes, meaning it could be anything. So we're talking about new things changing. We're talking about potential, could be in your career, it could be in a relationship, it could be with your health, it could be where maybe you want to move somewhere else. But be prepared for things to come to you that maybe are unexpected. Say, wow, I wasn't thinking of that. I got an offer, or somebody came into your life, or something came back around, or it'll also could potentially bring up things that are unresolved. So if anybody comes into your life or something comes into you that is kind of brings up old feelings or old energy or old vibration, so to speak, old things that are unresolved, that means the universe is trying to say, clean this up before we get to the end of this month. We want to get this cleared up. So if that comes in, or it's an unresolved feeling that you feel, that would also be something that you want to resolve as you go forward. Then we have a full moon that will be happening on December 18th. So we always have a new moon and a full moon. We're very tied to the energy of the moon. That's why I always like to mention it. So that'll be the 18th of December, right before we get into the holidays there. So this will be another jolt of energy that we'll have. And we do have a Mercury retrograde coming late in January. So we have a lot going on right now. I want to give you a couple of dates, which I will talk about more as we get into the new year. But I do want to throw a few dates at you just to put on your radar screen, just to be aware of based on the energy that we have and based on the vibration of what's going on right now. So I want you to be aware so you know what's happening. So the first date I want to give you is actually good, and this is all based on the vibration of 2022, which I'm going to get into in a few minutes, but I just want you to write these dates down. So the first date is going to be January 1st, which is New Year's Day, because that's a 1-1, and we are going into 22. So it's 1-1-22. 22 is a very high, is actually considered a prime spiritual number. I'm going to get into this in more detail in a minute, but just write that one down. So that's going to be one day to be really aware of. The second one in January will be the 11th, because you've got 1-1-1-22. So that's a very powerful day that we're going to have the 1-1-1 and the 22 together. I'll talk about, like I said, these numbers, how they work in a minute. And then February also is going to be a really blister. We're going to come out hot here in the beginning of the year. Even though we have a retrograde, we're going to come into a lot of heat coming into the beginning of the new year, which will be February 22nd, which is a 2-2-2, because it's 2-22. And the real big one, which will be a portal, and I'll probably do a call on this one because it's going to be a really big day, is going to be February 22nd, because it's going to be 2-22-22. So that's going to be a big portal opening, very big day. So just write those dates down. Those are going to be dates when you're going to see a lot of activity and a lot of action taking place. Just put them on your radar to get you ready for the new year as we go forward. So what we're going to talk about today, we want to prepare for the energy of 2022, which every year carries its own vibration and its own energy. So I want to talk to you about 2022. I like to do it the month before because we're already feeling the 2022 energy right now. This energy is already here. We're already starting to feel this vibration. It's already been present. So it's a good time to start to get aware of it and really looking at what's going on as we prepare to move into the new year, which is, as I said, that energy is already still filtering in and it's already coming to us as we go forward. But what I want to do here, and this is something I generally do not do, but what I want to do here is talk to you about the last couple of years. I usually, when I do this session, I usually just focus on the year that we're going into, but I think it's important because of all these changes. So I want to talk to you a little bit about 2020 and 2021 because just the way things have shaken out for us in the last few years is really going to be very, very important as far as how this affects us going into 2022. So a couple of things. So 2020, of course, we know we had the pandemic. We had this big situation where the pandemic came in. Now, a couple of things, from a numerology perspective, energetically as well, that also give us some extra juice. 2020, when we have a year, which we also have again, this is 2 out of 3 years. This is very rare that this would happen, that we have the same number. Generally, if you look at a year, if you look at 2021, it's 2021, right? A different number. But 2020, we had the same number, so 22, which 22 is a prime high vibration spiritual number. 11, 22, 33, these are very high prime vibrational numbers. The last time we had this happen was 2002 because we had the 2 back then. So 2020 was one of those very high vibration years, high energy, big shifting year. We also are moved into the age of Aquarius in 21. Well, it depends on, everybody's got their own version of it, but right around this time we moved into a different age, which is also a big shift taking place. So 2020 was a very big year as far as impacting our lives. Obviously, we had the COVID, we had the pandemic. This created a very big shift for all of us, right? We all went through it. It wasn't just, it wasn't relegated to one area. It was worldwide. It impacted everybody in a different way. And whenever we have these big shifts or changes, again, in the world of energy, we live in yin yang world, positive, negative. So we never see anything as good or bad. It's just positive or negative. It's one of those things, right? We don't want to see it as good or bad. So there are a lot of positives that came out of it. I know people say, oh, it's a pandemic. What do you mean positives? But a lot of positives did come out of it. And obviously there's going to be negatives because that's just the way it works. And we also saw a big shift, and this is an acceleration of the world that we are going to be creating as we go forward. So we saw certain shifts. One of the biggest shifts that we saw was people now working from home and our use of technology, so we no longer have to be in a conventional work environment. This is only the tip of the iceberg. I'm telling you now, within the next 10, 20 years, you will see the landscape of work will be completely different. You will see no more offices. You will not see people going. You will see a very different world. I'm not saying it's happening in the next 5 minutes, but it is happening already. I speak to people all the time. They say to me, now that I've done this, I'm not going back to the office anymore. People are working in a remote environment. We've seen certain businesses that have thrived. A Zoom, for example, an Amazon. These companies, not that Amazon wasn't doing well, but exploded even more as people were stuck at home. We also had the emergence of all these food delivery apps and all these different things that are coming along. And again, certain businesses got affected in a negative way. Hospitality, travel, a lot of these other businesses that are now slowly starting to come back. But again, big shifts, big changes as far as that. We also, I want to get into more as far as how we saw people we knew, how we saw the government, how we saw how this was handled. A lot of things came out that brought things to the surface that a lot of people did not know. We saw corruption. We saw how people mishandled situations. We saw manipulation. We saw a lot of different things in 2020. So that was a very jarring year for a lot of people. So what's important to do right now as we get ready for this 2022 shift is to say to yourself, how am I different basically from before the pandemic to now? What has been a big change in me in that time period? What changed for me? What changes happened? And I don't just mean externally. Maybe it happened in your job or something like that, but internally. How did this change your view of the world? How did this change the way you feel about yourself? How did this change the way you see the government, the way you see society, the way you see people? How did this change you in 2020? So you want to look at the difference in these last 2 years as far as what has changed within yourself that has helped you evolve to be a different person. Maybe you see the world in a different way. Maybe you've evolved to a different place. Now, 2021, which was a 5-year, is a year of change. And what we ended up seeing in 2021, I think, was really us adjusting to this situation. Obviously, it was very up and down, which is what 2021 was. It was a roller coaster of up and down, depending on where you lived and depending on what was going on. this was a year that we kind of saw a lot of sorting out of what's happening and really adjusting to this new world that we're in right now. And now we're going to come into 2022, which is going to be a whole different world. So we're going to get into that in a minute. So one of the things that keeps coming to me in my meditation as I keep doing this and working forward, and it started coming to me later in this year, was elevation and separation. And what I mean by that is energy is always moving, and energy does not sit still. So it creates a situation where your energy is moving up or it's actually moving down. There is no such thing as staying in the same spot, right? And I don't mean this like from a third dimensional perspective or from a financial perspective or career perspective. I'm just talking about your energy within yourself. So as we elevate, what ends up happening is we start to elevate, we start to feel these shifts and changes. But because if you're elevating and others that you know or people maybe that were in your life or your family or people in that case are not, what ends up happening is we start to separate because the energies now are unable to coexist as they were before because we're moving into a very high vibration. So as that vibration gets higher and higher, your tolerance level to deal with people in a different energy becomes more challenging. Now, I'm not saying this in a judgmental way. I don't mean to say they're good, you're bad, who's right, who's wrong. It's really just a matter of vibes. And you know, right now, I notice myself, I'm like, certain people who are in a very different camp than me, and again, I don't judge them, they're able to do whatever they want, but I notice I don't want to be around those people because it's impacting my energy in a negative way. So, and some of these people could be friends and family and people you've known for a long time. But again, in the world of energy, it's important that we strip out the labels and we just deal with it from a pure feeling and emotional perspective. So it doesn't mean you have to do anything dramatic. It just means you have to be true to the feelings and energy that you're holding right now. That is a critical part of where we are, is to be in that authenticity and to really follow that inner voice that is taking you in a direction. You've got to really be honoring that because that's going to help you dramatically accelerate and make 2022 a fantastic year. A lot of people are nervous about this year. I think it's going to be an amazing year for people who are in the right space. So one of the keys that as we go forward is I want you to focus on the energy, not the politics, because what's happening is we're getting distracted by all these disturbances that are going on, and this is happening by design, by the way. So all of these disturbances and all these things that are distracting us away from the energy and what's really going on, it's creating confusion for people because they're getting sucked into the third dimensional manipulation. They're getting sucked into all these political stories and they're getting all charged up and it's taking you out of your space. So I'm not telling you to put your head in the sand and not know what's going on, but do not get pulled in or sucked into all this nonsense because really it's a lot of rhetoric and it's a lot of manipulation. It's a lot of it's just really designed to take you out of your space. And it's also designed to separate us because this is something that of course, powers that be want to do is they want to separate people because if they separate people, it's easier to manipulate and control people when they're separated. If we're all together, think about it. If we all band together, think about the difference between what's happening now where they've got in and created all this separation. So I've been talking about this all year and I'm calling it organic separation. And what I mean by that is we're separating from people, ideas, situations that no longer serve us as we elevate ourselves to a higher level, right? So it doesn't have to be a whole dramatic thing. And what I mean by that is it may just be a natural progression where you just drift away from certain people and situations that you realize this is no longer serving me at this time in my life. I've moved to a different place. It doesn't make anybody good or bad. I don't care how long you've known these people. Like I said, a lot of it will be family members because you have to remember your family that you're born into, that you chose, and that's a whole nother conversation. I won't get into it today, but your family is part of your karma. So once you clear your energy, once you start clearing your karma, those people especially if they are still in a third dimensional pathology that is disruptive and not positive for you. Once you've moved out of that space, what happens is you don't want to go back there, because you're saying these people are in a dysfunctional pathology that they are carrying forward generation after generation. And for those of us who have chosen to do this work and we've moved out of it, it becomes something that is, I can't do this. I don't want to do this anymore. We had two in our family here. My mom and my mother-in-law passed in an 8-week period. We had to go back to, we're from New York, like I said earlier, so we had my wife as well. So we went back there twice, and we had to see everybody again. And you could, it was almost like going into a whole other dimension of energy, because we're saying we're so removed from this story that's going on here. So this is going to be an organic separation. There may be people that you do have to separate from, and you may have to take some action to make that happen if you feel like it's really negatively affecting you. So some of it will be natural, and some of it you may have to do in the physical world and actually make it happen, because it may be something that's just not going to work for you as you go forward. So again, there's no perfect way to do all these things. Some of them will be very smooth. I feel like others may not be, because, and also if something that does happen that creates a little bit of a disruptive separation, then that means that's something that you had to resolve with that person and within yourself. So understand that if that does happen and it becomes a little rough, that's okay. That means, and just look at it from that perspective. Don't look at it as who's right and wrong or who's good and bad. Look at it from a higher place and say to yourself, okay, I realize that this had to go down this road so I could separate from this person, and we had to work out these issues. And that's a karmic thing. Those are issues that you had to work out with that person in a karmic manner. So again, don't beat yourself up. And if you feel sad about it, or you feel bad or guilty, whatever the case may be, deal with those feelings, because those will be natural feelings that'll come up, and that's part of your expansion as well. So that'll be part of what you're doing as well. So a couple of the feelings that we want to be very aware of, because this is what's being utilized right now to create the separation for all of us, is our fear and shame. You have to understand that these are two of the most powerful emotional areas for human beings. Love, of course, is the most powerful. On the negative side for us, again, negative in a third dimensional perspective, would be fear and shame. So what's happening now is we're being barraged with fear. And it's funny, because I talk to people all over the world, and they tell me different things. I was talking to somebody the other day who was in London, and she said to me, she said, I was in London, I have family there. And she said, in London, it's kind of like, she said, they have their lockdowns or whatever, but she said, you're not seeing this constant barrage of get a vaccine, get to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this, and making people either afraid or feeling shamed that they're not doing something, right? So you're not really seeing that. So it really depends on where we are living. And also, as I've traveled in different states, I've seen different situations. In certain states, it's pretty laid back. I'm in California, which is a high fear state, and was also in New York. These are two of the states that are pushing the most fear and shame out there. So you may be in certain states or certain parts of the world where this is being really pushed hard. Other parts of the world it isn't. Again, that depends on the energy of where you are, where your soul is supposed to be at this time. So just be aware of it and understand that this is all manipulation by people who are fear-based, and the people in power want to hold power. How do they do that? They keep people afraid. They make people feel shamed, which again makes us react in a certain way. Because as kids, shame was so powerful, and that's how parents manipulated kids. I'm going to shame you to do something, and we are still emotionally carrying that same feeling, right? So I want you to think about this as you go forward. I want you to think about this as you're moving forward. Be aware of this manipulation. See through it. Understand what's really going on. Don't just take what's being given to you. And this is one of the things I say to people. Do your homework. Vet these things. Everybody do whatever you want. Whatever it is that you feel good about, do it. But my suggestion would be do some homework first. Do some research. Make a good decision. Make sure you have your facts. Don't just follow blindly. This is the way we go down a dark road. We've seen this. We saw this in World War II. We saw people walk into ovens not knowing this is where we're doing. This is the same thing. Don't just follow blindly. Do your homework and make decisions that work best for you. Make sure that decision resonates in your emotional base. It's got to feel right for you. Don't just do it. I've seen people in companies, like I said, I do consulting in different businesses and companies. I've seen people pressured within the company to get a vaccine because they were like, oh, we're trying to get everybody. And even if I did it anyway because I don't want to feel like the one person or the small group that didn't do it. Again, this is all fear and shame. So just be aware of what works best. Like I said, you do whatever works for you. I'm not judging anybody, but don't do something that doesn't feel right. Make sure you vet it. Make sure you understand it. Make sure you make a decision that resonates in your soul. If you trust that, you will never fail. I'm telling you right now, it'll always take you in the right direction. So let's talk about this year. Let's get into the numbers. So as I said, this is a powerful year. We have 2022, which is 222. Okay, so this is the 222 number. And 222, of course, equals a 6. So we have the vibration of 222. 222 is very powerful. Again, I said 22 is a prime spiritual number. 222 is even higher level of energy. And then in numerology, what we do is we take the number and we bring it down to a single number, which is the number 6. So this year, what makes it really special is we have the double vibration of not just the one number, but we have the 222 plus the 6. So let's talk about those two numbers and what they represent. So the 222 is really about expansion, growth, and new opportunities. It's really a number of you really expanding yourself. It's about growing. It's about saying, wow, there's new things I want to do. I want to be more unlimited, less fear, be more open to change, and really expand and grow in many ways that you may never have seen before. So this is a very important thing for you to be aware of, to say, where are areas maybe that I'm not allowing myself to expand and grow? Do I have any fears that are holding me back? Or new opportunities coming in that I'm not allowing to come in? What is it that I really desire? This is something that I want you to really think about. That's a big part of the 222 that we're coming into this year. This is also a time to really be powerful and feel your power. Now, I'm not talking about ego. I'm talking about your inner power, to really own your own power within yourself. This is a very powerful time for you to do that. So be very zoned into feeling powerful. Like I said, not egoic. Different thing. Power and egoic. Being powerful and being egoic are not the same, although some people have both, but we don't want to be there. We want to be in a space of power. Now, the number 6, which I think gets a bad rap, because we think of the number 6, the devil number, 666, all that kind of stuff. So all numbers, the same way everything here in the physical world, this third dimension that we're in, has the yin-yang energy, right? You have the positive and the negative. We think of the 6 as like I said, it's been in movies and you've seen the 666 and all that kind of stuff. But the 6 really is a number on the positive side. And if you look at the shape of the 6, it looks like it actually has the look of a pregnant woman, right? It has like the 6 with the circle going back. So the positive part of the 6 is about grounding and balance. That's really what it's about. It's about grounding yourself. It's about love. It's about balancing your energy. That's really what the positive side of the 6 is. The negative side of the 6 is when you get caught up into materialism. So the negative side of the 6 is when I focus too much on the third dimension, the physical world, material possessions, things like that, money, whatever it is. Now, again, we're living in a physical world. There's nothing wrong with having a nice place to live and nice things in your life. It's when it takes over. And when it becomes more important than everything else, that's when it takes us into a dark place. So the 6 this year is going to be about expansion, self-love, new opportunities, bringing yourself to a higher place. But also, as I'm doing all that, I want to stay grounded and balanced. I don't want to drift into ego. I want to keep myself grounded. Meditation will be very important. Getting quiet will be very important. Constantly being aware of rebalancing your energy. Because the energy this year, which has been happening already, first of all, this whole week, you might have been feeling a lot of symptoms in your body because we had such a powerful week of energy. I had a lot of energy action in my crown, but my top of my head, which is the crown chakra, which I had tingling, I had pressure, I had dizziness, I had everything going on. You might have been going through similar symptoms like that. You might have also been going through situations where you couldn't sleep or you felt very high energy and vibration. You might have also felt a little unrest because that was also part of it because we're going through these changes where you say, wow, I'm feeling a little anxious or I'm feeling a little, I'm not sure where I'm going. That's also part of the feeling of this time. Also frustration because you're dealing with people who maybe you're struggling to make it work with and you can't, so it's creating frustration for you. You know, again, all these different things, ear ringing, these are all different things that you may be feeling right now, body aches as well. All of these things, you might have gotten a little sick. I don't mean COVID, but you got a cold or you got a runny nose or you got something like that. That's all part of your body absorbing all this high energy and cleansing out. So be aware of these things as you're going forward. And again, the key is going to be to constantly, because this energy will come in fast and furious, you've got to be constantly rebalancing yourself. Continue to rebalance yourself. Say, hey, am I drifting off over here? Bring yourself back. Am I drifting off over here? Bring yourself back. Again, we're never perfect, but we want to make sure we keep that balance as we go forward. So this is a great time. I always like to do it at the end of the year because the years are symbolic for us as humans. We look at new year and new opportunity and changes. So this is a time to really, as I said earlier, look at where you are versus where you were in 2020, even last year. How were these years for you? What changes have happened within you as a person? And then also look at inventory. Take some inventory, right? It's time to take inventory. You know, one of the things I love to do from a physical world perspective is go through my closets and take things that I'm not wearing and not using and donate it to get rid of all that stuff. Maybe your garages. This is also symbolic, right? We're removing things that we no longer use. We're giving these to other people who could maybe benefit from it, and we're creating space for ourselves. This also works with people that are in your life that maybe say, you know what? I've held on to this for a long time. It's causing me a lot of disruption and pain. I have to accept that maybe this relationship I do not want to pursue or continue with as I go forward. Again, I'm not saying this in a negative way or who's good or bad, but it's about you doing things that work for your soul. It's not about the label, mother, brother, father, sister, whatever the case may be. It's about, is this person helping me elevate, and do I feel that feeling that I want to be around that person, or do I feel this is disrupting me? If it's disruptive and you keep doing it, that's on you. I'm not saying these things are easy to do, but it's something that you want to focus on. And then you want to go through your removal process. Like I said, I like the physical process as well because it's also a symbol. Hey, I'm going to get rid of things that I don't need anymore, that I don't want to hoard. I want to create space, right? I don't want to have all this junk around. I don't want to have all these things. You know, you have people with, it always amazes me that we have this entire industry around storage units, and people have all these things, and they have so much stuff that they can't fit it in where they live, which is on some level, you know, you say, well, that's kind of disturbing. I know in New York, being from New York, people have small apartments. They didn't have a lot of room, so sometimes they needed a storage unit to put, you know, things that they couldn't fit there, or seasonal things and so forth. But we have a lot of people that I know, they have houses and they have all these storage units. I'm like, well, what do you do with all this stuff? So part of it is our fear of letting go. You don't need to have all that stuff. You know, let it go. Just move on. Move on and just do your thing. Don't worry about it. You don't need, if you're not using it, if it's something you haven't looked at in a long period of time, it's one of those things, right? Let it go. Give it up. Donate it. Somebody else could use it and they're going to benefit by it. I think it's a great thing to do. I remember my wife has always done a lot of things in this area as far as working with helping people and working in shelters and things like that. There was one place that she was working in New York, and she actually started, they were just doing food and things like that and books for kids. And then she actually started a whole area. She started having people bring clothing in. And it grew into this whole big thing where they had all these clothes, and she put it out there. She did an amazing job. And people were coming in. They needed clothing and they needed things. And I remember I donated some suits and that were older that I wasn't, they were in my closet, of course, it's a suit, there's nothing wrong with it. But I said, it's older. I'm not going to wear it again. And I remember she told me a story once that there was a guy that was looking for a job, and the suit that I had donated fit him. I had a suit, I had the whole thing, the shoes, the whole thing. And she said, I knew he was coming in, and she singled him out, and she gave it to him. And she said he was so excited, and he went out and he got a job. And I'm telling you, because you know how you feel good when you have clothing on that makes you feel better. And it was one of those things where that was because I could have kept that suit in my closet, or my wife was actually the one who was the catalyst of the entire thing. But again, her putting that energy out, and then I don't, and then you see the way it just goes forward, right? The way that just moved forward, where this man now had these clothes and was able to go in an interview and then get a job from a suit that's sitting in my closet that I'm not wearing anymore. I don't need to hold on to that stuff. So all of us, this is a great thing to do as well as we go forward. So again, this will be a natural process. It could be a painful process. So I just want to go through as far as the separation is concerned and the elevation. So when we're elevating and separating, part of it is, to me, the majority of it is very positive. There are sometimes elements of it that could be a little painful, and I think we will see this also on a global scale, because as we're evolving to a different place, human beings traditionally will resist change. They're not big on change. We're just not. If you go through history, we've resisted everything. So especially when you're changing relationships, you're changing power structures, which we're going to also see. We're going to also probably dramatically change the way we handle money, the banking system. You're going to see a lot of changes. So again, part of it will be natural. It will just kind of happen in an organic manner. The more we stay in that space, the easier it will be. Other parts of it, there may be, like I said, relationships that have to end, or maybe you're going to go into a different career, or you're going to leave a place that you've been for a while, or you're going to leave, kind of separate a little bit from family members that have been very toxic for you. These could be painful. And again, that's part of the journey for all of us. So we want to make sure that we deal with those feelings. If you feel guilt, or you feel sad, or you feel shame, or whatever it is that you feel, it's important to process those feelings as we go forward. So make sure that you do that as we move through this process. So this is going to be, like I said, it's going to be very fast moving. So because it will be fast moving, you're going to have to deal with things faster. So the quicker you deal with them, the quicker you'll move on. If you hold on to it, it's going to slow you down. So I don't want you to get stuck there in that little spot where you slow. So very important here to hold your space. So I know that there will be times when it'll be easier, and there will be times when it will be not so easy, because we're trying to hold that space. We're trying to hold that space of peace, of love, of joy, of all these positive things. And the bottom line is, you have to look at it from a situation of saying, my job is to hold my space. Part of that is going to be making sure that it's going to be go when you feel good, and rest when you need to rest. So don't push yourself. When you feel like, hey, you know what? My energy today, there were certain days I get up, I feel amazing. I'm like, wow, I slept great. I feel really good. I'm clear. Other days with all this going on, certain days I was very foggy. I was like, I really can't focus and do much today. Give yourself a break. Again, some of us are working. We're doing what we're doing. But understand, be nice to yourself, because that's going to help you hold that energy and vibration. And you're going to also watch the backslide. What I mean by that is this. We always, as we're moving energy forward, sometimes, we get to a certain place and then, we slide back a little bit. That's a natural part of it. So I don't want you to lose it. I don't want you to beat yourself up about it. The bottom line is, when you see yourself, wow, moving up, and all of a sudden something happens, because when you deal with an emotional circumstance, it has a tendency to push us down a little bit, or just knock us off our axis, so to speak. So I want you to just that's okay. Expect it will happen. So there's nothing you can do. So you say, well, okay, this happened. I had to deal with it. It kind of disrupted my energy a little bit. And I would think of that as more of a way to describe it, right? My energy got disrupted. I kind of backslid a little bit, meaning not that say you went down the drain, but you just kind of slid back a little, and you want to just stop and say, okay, I need to just realign myself here. So that's going to be normal in this process, especially now, because it's going to come at us, as I said, very quickly. So you want to be able to say, wow, I'm moving up, bang, I may backslide a little bit, deal with it, move forward. So this is going to be an important part of how we continue. So this, like I said, the expansion you will experience is going to be based on you letting it happen. I mean, you have to allow it to happen. So there will be opportunity for tremendous emotional expansion. And when we have emotional expansion, our third dimensional or physical world expands as well. So understand that that's what we're looking at. We're looking at an emotional expansion that then moves us. That's what because our physical reality is being dictated by our emotional expansion. So if we expand emotionally, our external world improves. So this will be a year. The reason I say this is we are in a world, we have free will, and it's our desire to expand that will make the difference. And if you have to allow yourself to expand. Now, when you expand, you will move into discomfort because you're going into areas or maybe things you haven't done before. So the idea is to say, I understand and I accept that as I'm expanding, I will go through periods of discomfort. I will tell you now, if you're not going through periods of discomfort, you're not expanding. So think about everything that you've done in your life, maybe a lot of things you thought you couldn't do. And sometimes we get forced in a situation and we have to do it. And we say, wow, I really impressed myself. And I don't mean that, like I said, egoically, but just like, wow, I didn't think I could do that. And that look at how well I did. Or a lot of times I see people at work when I'm working with people in these companies and I'll push them a little bit to do something. I said, wow, you can really do this. And they're a little nervous. And then they do it. And you see their confidence build. Same thing. So be prepared for discomfort. That's part of the process of expansion. Expansion and discomfort go hand in hand, by the way. So when you expand, you're going to be uncomfortable. It's part of kind of how it works. So be prepared for that. Also, as I said, and I know I keep saying the same thing, but I want to get you ready. As we're going through this, because things are going so fast, you're also going to have more emotional triggers. So emotionally, you may be triggered more often because you're going through things much faster. So just be ready. And the key, of course, is how do I process that emotional trigger? How do I process it? How do I process this trigger? That is going to be the difference in this year for you. Because like I said, things will come at you quickly. Your ability to understand what's happening to you on an emotional level and then process those emotions and then move forward in a positive way, that is going to be the difference in how this year goes. If you hold on to things and if you continue to try to have a third dimensional battle over it, and I see this all the time with people going back and forth, and that's why I say to people, why are you fighting? Both of you could allowed to say whatever, have your opinion. But again, this is something that has been manipulated for us, that it's all about let's fight with each other over everything. Instead of saying, hey, that's okay, you want to do that and I want to do that, and that's fine. But again, we're going to villainize people, make people right and wrong, make people good and bad. These are the things that are causing disruption. We don't want to play that game. I want to deal with my own emotion, and I want to move through it. So as I've been saying, right, this is going to come faster and faster. And what you'll notice is this. The quicker you deal with something, the quicker things will come at you. So that is a sign of your mastery. And that is really where we're going, is your mastery is going to be accelerated, because that's what 2022 is going to be about. And that's actually what I'm going to talk about in my January session, is about mastering your energy. So deal with things quickly, right? It comes into your energy field, process it. Do not be reactionary. Process it and understand it. What is it that I'm feeling? You have to be able to identify those emotions and those feelings. As you identify those feelings and emotions, you can then process them and move through them quickly. That's what you want to do. So you don't want to get into escalation, meaning here's what happens in the third dimension. So here's what's really going to happen here. I'm going to tell you what it's already happening, but for your own purposes. People in the third dimension like drama and upset. They like it. It's part, and again, I'm not judging it. It's just who they are. So the people in the pathologies, especially in our families, who like that drama and upset, that's what they want to keep creating. And their desire is to pull you, and it could be work, it could be anybody or anything that you're dealing with, or you see people on social media fighting with each other, right? This is all designed to hold your energy down. So you do not want to escalate these situations, because what happens is the minute you get engaged, you start to pull your energy into that space and you get disrupted. So that is not something you want to do. So if you see someone trying to come into your space and to create disruption, you do not want to get involved in that. You do not want to give that any energy. You do not want to continue to move that forward. That is not something you want to do as you continue your journey. Now, when you do not play, I'm just going to tell you, it may blow up on you because these people who are used to manipulating others and getting them to be reactionary, when you are calm and you do not play, they have a tendency to get very upset because they don't understand why you're not participating in their drama. Right? They can't. Wait a minute. You have to. I'm disrupting you. I'm pulling you into my drama. You need to play with me. Right? That is what they want. When you don't, when you say, hey, you know what? That's fine. Go do whatever you like. Or that's what you want to do. That's okay. I'm not doing that. This upsets them. So they may blow up on you. Don't allow it. Don't allow yourself to get pulled back in. Just say to yourself, okay, I need to step back. And don't, again, a lot of their overreactions are designed to, in effect, disrupt your energy field and steal energy from you. You don't want to allow that to happen. That's in your control. That's why I'm saying hold your space, hold your peace, hold on to those things, okay? And don't let yourself get pulled in. But understand, they may say horrible things. They may tell family members. I've had this all happen to me. They may tell the family what a horrible person you are. You're the worst. All these things that you're doing. All part of the game. You have to hold your space. This is going to be the key to going forward. It may happen because, like I said, some people, they're not good at handling the new you, the higher version of yourself, because they're still in a third-dimensional pathology that they want to stay in, which is fine. We don't judge it. That's what you want to do. That's fine. I don't. If you choose to do that, that's okay. I don't choose to do that, so go on and have fun and do it with others who want to do that. There are others who want to do that. That's fine. So that's it. So we're going to tap into your higher self as much as you can. One of the keys for this year, of course, will be that you want to really trust your inner voice. I think a lot of us have grown up in situations where we did not trust our inner voice. I think a lot of us have been conditioned to, just, been told we're wrong, or don't think like that, or don't feel like that, or that's not the way you're supposed to feel. This is a time to push all that aside, get quiet, and listen to yourself. Your higher self is always connected to you. Your goal is to make sure that you talk to it. Talk to yourself. Sit quietly. That's why meditation is important. I think getting quiet, however you want to, categorize meditation, but the ability to get quiet and listen to yourself and just say, how does this feel? The more you do that, the more you'll be tapped in to your highest self, and you'll get that inner guidance and wisdom that is already there. It's there for you. You have to just tap into it. So take time to make sure that you connect to your higher self and follow that feeling. That is going to be the key for you to go forward. So in the end, I think this is a great year for all of us. Like I said, I think this is going to be a very exciting year for many of us who have been on this path for a long time and been maybe struggling or maybe having a difficult time or really going through all these different levels and processes. I think it's going to be an amazing year of opportunity. You have to have faith in yourself. You have to have faith and understand, even if things right now are unclear, it doesn't matter. The universe will provide you the information. And if you feel like, wow, you know what, I feel like I'm stuck right now, or I'm not 100% sure where I'm going, or I'm a little bit, there's a lot of different possibilities, or there's a lot of different moving parts right now. We're all in different parts in our lives. We're all dealing with different things. What you want to do here is you want to say to yourself, okay, you have to be okay. Sometimes you have to step back. Let things fall in front of you, and then you can move forward. So when you feel prompted to act, then you act. When you don't. See, I think this is also, I deal with, like I said, a lot of business people, and they're always feeling, I have to do something. I said, sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's good to take a step back and let things fall in front of you, or let things become more clear before you. Don't just react. Reacting is never good, because generally we're reacting. We're not dealing with something in the highest possible manner, right? It's bringing us back into that third dimensional feeling of lower vibration. So let me give you a quick kind of wrap up here, and I'll go through an overview of what we talked about just to get you ready. Like I said, I will have this recording out as well later today. So again, we talked about it, elevation and separation. I think that will be our theme for this year. We're going to see a lot of people elevating into higher places. We will see a lot of people not. This will be a natural progression. You may see some ups and downs. Again, it's going to be up to you as far as how you handle it, but this will definitely be something because we're seeing a lot of separation right now, just in general. Again, not good or bad. It's just what it is. Don't judge it. Just do what's best for you. Take your inventory, right? Look at where you are. Like I said, I love to do it in a physical manner as well, not just and of course in a spiritual, energetic manner as well. Clean up, right? Do your removal and clean it up. Hold your space. This is going to be important. You want to choose growth. You want to choose to grow, and you want to choose to step into those opportunities and prepare for those triggers, prepare for those bumps in the road, because as I said, things will be coming at you very quickly these days. They're going to start coming at you faster and faster. The better you get, the faster they will come. So be ready. Just be ready to move quickly. Be ready to make changes. And the key is going to be have faith in yourself and do things that feel good for you. It has to feel, I'm telling you right now, more so than ever before, this is a time when you want to say things have to feel right for you. If things don't feel right for you, don't do it. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what everybody says. If you have that inner gut telling you yes or no, follow that feeling. That is going to be the key for everything. That is going to be the key to your success. That is going to be the key to everything as you're going forward. So as I said earlier, I have the membership program that I think is something I created for people so you're able to get ongoing training and support at a lot lower rate than you would pay for coaching. And we have a 15-day free trial. If you go to highergroundnow.com, you can actually click this slide as well, and it'll take you to that page. You can check it out. There's over $1,500 in free gifts and programs available right away. Everything is instant access. It's all up there for you. So like I said, you get 15 days. You don't have to try it out, and then you can cancel before that if you don't like it. But stay on. It's month to month, and it'll be something that will tremendously help you going into 2022. Because, again, we're going to need support, help, and guidance. We're all going to get it in different ways. That was the reason I created this program, so people could get on there and get that help and support. So go to Higher Ground now. Check it out. I'd love to have you as a member. So as far as this, I'm going to send a recording of this later. There will also be a recording of this in the member area because you all members know where to find that. I'll send you an email to let you know it's there. We're going to do the next session on the 8th because January 1st is the next first Saturday of the month, and that is, like I said, a high energy day. It's also New Year's Day. I know a lot of people are kind of dealing with that day in their own way. So I'm going to do the first session on January 8th, and I'm going to talk about mastering your energy field. So I'll be putting that up as well later today. And again, I have my YouTube channel, which is ashotofjoe.com. I put new videos up there all the time, again, as we're going forward. Don't forget, as I said one more time, Higher Ground Now for the membership information. If you have any questions, you can shoot me an email. It's joe@joenunz.com. So anything you said, I have a question about something or something we talked about, or maybe you're getting this as a recording and you didn't get to connect with me directly, please feel free to do that as we go forward. So if anybody has any questions, as I said, you could put them in the question box. I have some stuff in the chat that I'll get to in a minute, or hit star 2 on your phone if you want to speak to me. But let me just go through a couple of things. So someone was saying I was doing better, but I felt tired Thursday and woke up with a backache on Friday. Very common. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. Because this energy is moving very quickly, it's going to take you. You're going to say, wow, I feel great, and then all of a sudden I don't. Just go with it. And what I would say to you is the bottom line is what you want to do is honor how you feel. So don't do something that if you say, wow, I woke up today and my back hurts, and I'm a person, in this lifetime, I've been pretty good physically as far as my health is concerned. But I will tell you, all of a sudden there are days that I get up and I'm like, oh my God, my knees are killing me, my shoulders, something's happening. I know that's the energy going through me, so I want to take it light. Those are days I go do a sauna, do something to kind of heal, do something more healing, and that is great. So someone also said, I'm choosing not to participate in the games people play. 100%. I agree with you. It is one of those things that we want to go in there. Someone also said my joints have been hurting these last few weeks. Very normal. So let me just explain to you what's happening. When we move through energy, because the energy of our physical body is dense, when we feel pains like that especially the ones that come out of left field, what happens is that's our body removing the dense energy. Our body's actually taking the dense energy out, and that's why you feel physical pain. So generally, as long as it goes away, usually it'll come and go. If you feel it ongoing, maybe you have something that you have to address, again, from a medical perspective, but a lot of that stuff will go up and down, and we'll continue to do that. Someone said they're itchy and not sleeping. That's another one. The sleeping thing is a biggie. There'll be days when you feel like, there are days I sleep great, and there are other nights I'm laying in bed and I feel my whole body vibrating and I can't sleep. That's going to also be normal. When you can sleep as much as you can, I will tell you that. That's going to be a great thing. And someone else is saying controlling emotions is a little difficult, like a speedometer in a vehicle. Yeah, I mean, I want to frame this because I think it's important. I don't want you to control your emotions. I want you to understand them, right? So controlling, to me, I always think of people as repressing their feelings or they're repressing their emotions. You don't necessarily want to control your emotions. What you really want to do is you want to say, I want to be aware of what I'm feeling, so that what I'm feeling, whatever I'm feeling at that time, I want to be able to process it. So I don't necessarily want to control it. Now, the controlling portion, I think the way this is in this context, you're thinking of, I don't want to overreact and go all crazy, which is usually a good thing, but I want to be able to process it in a positive way. And sometimes we do react, but then later on, go back and sit quietly with those feelings and really do that. Okay, so thanks, Magdalena. Magdalena said, great distinction. Not control. We don't want to control it. We want to process it, and we want to feel it. So these are important things to understand. As you get into this work more and more, there are a lot of little subtleties that make a huge difference. There are little subtle shifts and changes that we make that really are dramatic. And you'll note it's almost like fine tuning. And that's one of those things that you'll understand as you do it more and more. It's like I'm now, early days, my shifts were very extreme. Up, down, very high, very low. I went through depression when I was younger. So very extreme. Now my shifts are very subtle. And my shifts, it's almost like I keep fine tuning it as I go. So the more you're able to process and be aware of your emotions, the easier it's going to be for you to go forward and be able to do that. And that is something that you want to go. So, Susan, thank you so much. You continue to teach me. Your teachings settle my spirit. Well, that is a tremendous comment, Susan. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate that positivity coming my way. And someone else is saying, totally triggered this month. Family, so-called friends. I love that. Lots of cleanup on aisle 3. Love you and Maria. Thank you so much. So, again, this is what you're going to expect this month. This is the holidays. This is like the best month of the year for growth, because what ends up happening is this is the year, this is the time when all this stuff funnels in. We've got COVID in the middle of it. Who's not letting people come over? Who's doing this? Who's doing that? People you want to see, people you don't want to see. Emotions can run high. It's already been stressful with all the things that we've gone through. So use this as a great month of tuning yourself up and gearing up for 2022. And like I said, I'm looking forward to continuing the journey with everybody as we get ready for a great and phenomenal new year. So listen, I want to bless everyone. Thank you so much for being here today and being a part of this. I look forward to connecting and staying connected with you as we go into the new year and continue to grow and learn. And I'm going to say we're coming into a very, very exciting time this year. Tremendous opportunities and changes are going to be available for all of us. So have fun. Have a great holiday. Use it as a tool to elevate yourself, and it's going to be a great one. So I look forward to connecting with you. Have a very wonderful holiday.